Sure.
Hello on Yavin. How are we doing today?
I'm good. Thank you, Tom. How are you?
Very well, thank you. I appreciate you taking the time to talk with me today. Now, I guess you're a little aware of the project, my film project that I'm pursuing, and I've obviously been interviewing some of the more embedded persons like yourself in the crypto industry, and so I've already been through a few interviews, and I'm very, very happy that you've agreed to talk to me today. So I got about 6 or 7 questions for you here. So I'm just going to dive right on in if that's okay.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Excellent. All right. So tell us a little bit about your role first, if you want to introduce yourself and what your role is in the crypto economy.
Sure. So I was introduced to blockchain and cryptocurrency 3 years ago, and I immediately decided to focus my life on blockchain and cryptocurrency. I shifted and completely focused on it. I was active in a few different companies back then, and I decided to stop everything. And the reason is that I believe that blockchain and cryptocurrency is the biggest revolution mankind ever had, if not the biggest, then one of the biggest. And I think that beside the huge, significant change that it's making in the financial industry, it's also going to make a huge change with regards to legal, real estate, and many other different industries. And that's why I call it the biggest revolution that we've had. What I decided to do is start Cointelligence, my company. Cointelligence is a company that provides research and education services. We've researched more than 400 different blockchain and cryptocurrency companies. And with regards to education, we are offering different types of classes online. Some of them are free, some of them are paid. And that's our main focus these days, education. So that's about me and Cointelligence. If you want me to cover anything specific, feel free to ask me.
No, that was very in depth, actually. Thank you. I'm just on a side note, a question that's come up there for me. You're a supplier. Cointelligence is a supplier of some useful education for newcomers. What kind of newcomers? What's the typical newcomer profile for such an education?
So basically, it's relevant for, I would say, almost everyone. Everyone that are able to read text or watch videos, it's relevant for them. And it can be very young people, it can be business professionals, it can be people from the financial industry or people from the legal industry. If you take the smart contracts class, for example, everybody are teaching developers about smart contracts. We decided to take a different route and educate everyday people and business professionals, because we think that many people out there should be educated about smart contracts, because it's going to completely change the way that we do business. So that's one example. Obviously, we have the 101 class, the introductory class to blockchain and cryptocurrency, and that's why I'm saying that it's relevant for everyone. If we talk about the tokenomics class or the crypto trading class, for example, that's a bit more focused for people that actually want to do something specific like crypto trading, for example.
Are you able to share any of that information about the types of people coming in? I'm just curious, like, who's coming through your front door?
So I would say that the majority of people would be, last time we checked a few months ago, we checked the students that are registered to Cointelligence Academy, and we discovered that the average age is between 18 to 35. Unfortunately, most of them are men, and Cointelligence is a big supporter of women in blockchain, by the way. We have a unique, dedicated podcast for women in blockchain because we would like to encourage as many women to join the industry and to hear from the women that are already active in the industry. And unfortunately, our students are mostly men. I am pushing, and some of my team members are pushing as much as possible to get as many women on board, but it's not there yet. And I would say that mostly it's people that are technological oriented. And that's another thing that I'm always trying to change. And I'm always explaining people, you don't need to be a developer to join the industry. I'm not a developer. I'm tech savvy, but I'm not a developer. And half of the team members at Cointelligence are not developers at all. So I would say that's how I see the audience. But like I mentioned, it's changing a lot, and we see people from all range of ages, all range of territories. We have registered students from more than 100 different countries worldwide. So it's very, very spread out.
Okay, well, that's, you know, fair play to you for trying to increase access for women to come on board and what have you. But in my research, in the preliminary research for my film, I've come across a lot of actually crypto influencers, if you like, and a lot of them are actually quite a few women out there. I just want to get your take on, like, what's the current view of the crypto influencer space, in your opinion?
Are you ready for a very negative response?
Well, to be fair, I have seen it coming, yes.
Okay, so unfortunately, I think that the crypto influencers situation is terrible. First of all, I think that people lost hundreds of millions. It doesn't matter right now what's the currency, US dollars, the pounds, the euros, hundreds of millions because of crypto influencers. We've seen at the time of the ICO craze, so many influencers promoting, I would call them bullshit projects, and we've seen them promoting scams, one after the other. By the way, I didn't mention it at the beginning of this interview, but one of the things that Cointelligence is well known for is for our scam fighting. We've called out almost 100 different scams until today. During the ICO craze, we called out a couple of dozen of different ICOs. It doesn't mean that there weren't hundreds or thousands. We are limited with our capacity, so we've just called out a couple of dozens. And we do it on our own free time, and obviously nobody is paying us to do it, and so on. So that's the first part of the reason. I think that many of the crypto influencers, and when I say many, it's most of them. I don't have accurate data to share with you, but if I had to guess, I would say that at least 70 to 80% of them were promoting bullshit projects or scams. Some of them actually, we reached out and they couldn't provide any legit answers to our questions. That's the first part of my answer. The second part is that if you review the amount of crypto influencers that we've had during the ICO craze compared to the amount of crypto influencers that you have now, you would see a huge difference in numbers, because they know that they can't make money anymore depending on the bullshit that they sold to their viewers. To finalize my answer, I would say that it's not only the scammers, and not only the founders of the crypto startups that they knew that they don't have anything, but they raised a lot of funds still. I think it's also the fault of crypto influencers, not only crypto influencers, but also crypto events, and also crypto publishers, and so on and so on. Now, I know that you asked me about influencers, but I'm just adding that. So it's not only the influencers, but they have a huge part in it.
Yes, and their response, or often their argument against this, would be that they were just doing their part. These crypto influencers, they actually weren't very technically savvy. They're often a little bit younger, so they complete ignorance, if you like, to a certain extent. And even if they're the face of a scam, they often say that, well, I didn't know, I was just part of the marketing strategy.
So I'll explain why I think that it's very easy to give excuses and not take responsibility. First of all, I would say that some of them knew very well what they were doing, because some of them are developers. And I know at least 30, 40 crypto influencers that I've reviewed myself with my research team. And we know that they are very, very tech savvy, including actually developers that know how to develop code very well. The second part is that, fine, you're saying that you made a mistake, that you couldn't know. Where is the apology? Why are you hiding the fact that you promoted clear scams? Why are you, I'm not talking about you, Tom, I'm talking about the crypto influencer. Why are you deleting the videos and hiding them? And when you are being attacked by people on Twitter, you just block them and hide their replies to your tweets. And also, fine, you promoted a scam, you think that you made a mistake, you're sorry about it. Where's the money? Give the money back. Why do you enjoy the money that you profited from promoting scams? Now, I'm not saying give the money back to the scammer. No, I'm saying contribute it to something that can help the industry, because that's very, very dirty money. And it should be contributed in a way to make it legit, the way that I see it.
Absolutely. And I think there are many stories repeated in this, in regards to the approach from crypto influencers scamming individuals. I won't go into my own story here, but a lot of it sort of orbits around the idea of pseudo-identity online. So this idea of people presenting themselves other than their actual selves in real lives. And what's your take on people using these kind of online characters, if you like? It's almost like they don't really want to exist in the digital realm as themselves, because it disadvantages them somehow. So give me your take on pseudo-identity online.
Sure. So I think that there is one case where it's acceptable. And when you don't want, when you care about your privacy and you don't want anyone to know anything about you, I completely understand it. I completely appreciate it. I'm not that kind of a person, but I completely understand why people would like to be in that way. But, and that's a huge but, if you are taking some kind of a public role while using an anonymous profile, that's very wrong. Because obviously you don't want to disclose who you are, but you still want to enjoy the fact that you are a public figure. Another example is that from my experience, and as I mentioned before, we called out almost 100 different scams. I can tell you that at least a few of them, they did everything they can in order to try and take down the scam alert from Cointelligence, and they threatened me and the team. We're talking about legal threats that had no legal basis. I'm also a lawyer, so it's not so easy to threaten me with legal things. I got a few death threats myself, and the last part is that these scammers are enabling all kinds of anonymous profiles online to attack me. And they repeat and they keep doing it. And at some point, the profiles are talking to each other. So you have the anonymous profiles, and they want to try to make it look as if there is a discussion between real people, but sometimes it's the same person or it's different people sent by the same scammer. So you can imagine how much I'm against it when you are using that in order to scam people or in order to attack people when you do not want to disclose yourself, because you mentioned yourself, it's a disadvantage. Of course it's a disadvantage. You can say whatever you want to say if it's anonymous or pseudonymous, whatever you want to call it. Obviously there's a difference between them, but it's the same thing for our discussion. So my take on this is very, very negative.
Very well. Okay. So blockchain, it's often talked about in parallel or associated with identity. Does blockchain technology offer any sort of solution here with this problem of online fake personas, if you like?
Potentially, I think absolutely yes. Practically, no one built any product or is offering any type of a service that actually is solving these problems. I think that it's the technology and the industry is too immature at the moment, and I can't tell you that I have seen any blockchain or crypto project that proved itself beside anything to do with the financial industry so far. I'm not saying that it's not going to happen. I'm saying that right now it doesn't exist. There are a few projects that potentially might change that and other things, non-financial topics, issues, but I didn't see it yet.
Okay, interesting. Okay, so let's look into the future for a moment. The crypto influencer space, well, you mentioned before it's drastically reduced since the ICO craze. How do you see it evolving going forward?
So I think that since the crypto industry is going to be heavily regulated, it's already being regulated. In some countries, there is some proper regulation. It's not enough. In any country in the world, regulation is not enough at the moment. Even in the US, which is considered to be the top regulatory territory, it's still not there yet. And I think that in a few years, it's not going to take. When you asked me about it, it sounds like it's going to be in the far future. It's not. It's going to be in the next few years, and the crypto influencers will have to be very, very cautious when they promote any type of crypto project. First, because many of them can be considered to be security, and if it will be considered a security, they will have to think 10 times before they say anything, because otherwise they will find themselves with a problem with the SEC, the US regulator. And beside that, I think that we are going to stop seeing these crazes like the ICO craze. And by the way, right now we are during the beginning of the new craze, just so you know. So it's not over yet. Don't think I'm saying that it's over, but I think that in a couple of years, the wild west is going to completely be over, at least most of it.
Okay. So we're going to have more regulation, essentially, you think?
Yes.
Now, I'm on my own mission, of course, to find out what the hell happened to my money. But you being operational in the space a lot longer than I, can you feel free to like not name names if you don't feel comfortable doing so? But who are some of the worst offenders, and what do you think motivates them in the crypto influencer space? That is.
So the clear and obvious motivation is money. And they would like to get as much money as possible. So they are being paid to promote different projects.
But
And the other,
this money is often paid out in some obscure coin.
usually the crypto influencers would be paid with crypto. So either they would go for the main tokens or coins, for example, Bitcoin, Ethereum, or they might sign on an agreement that they are being paid with the project's token itself. So so it all depends on the deal, and obviously there's other cases, but what I mentioned is like the majority of the cases. And I'm very happy to give you at least one example, but don't blame me later if you will get a legal threat. I'm used to it, but maybe it will not be very nice for you. So I'm gonna take a pause for like 2 seconds. So if you want to cut this part, you will be able to cut it. And I'm going to give you the example now. So one of the scam enablers that we called out, and I called out personally, and I also presented this case in different events when I was speaking on stage, is one of the biggest and well-known influencers of the industry called Ran Noir, who was the host of the CNBC Crypto Trader Show. And you can understand that CNBC, you know that name, and you know how huge that media network is. And they were one of the biggest scam enablers of the ICO craze. Actually, in one case, I approached Ran with regards to an ICO that he promoted on his show. And I asked him, how the hell do you dare promoting this scam when it's so obvious it's a scam? The scam was about compressing a file from a couple of hundreds of megabytes, I don't remember the exact number right now, to about 90 megabytes, something like that. Don't count on the numbers that I'm saying, but let's say that it was from a couple of hundreds to a couple of tens of megabytes, something like that. And I didn't rely on my research team only. I actually consulted with 12 different CTOs. 4 of them were compression experts. They all said the same thing. Absolutely bullshit. That was the clear response from all of them. And when I approached Mr. Ran Noir, he told me, oh, it's not my job to do tech due diligence. So if it's not your job to do tech due diligence and you are working for CNBC, we're not talking about some unknown YouTuber that started doing reviews a week ago. We're talking about the host and reporter of CNBC. And he said that he doesn't need to do tech due diligence. And afterwards, he also explained to me that it wasn't such a big deal. Now, just to make sure that you understand, he said on his show, when he interviewed the scam ICO, he said at the end, shut up and take my money. Now, let me understand and clarify one important thing. Ran Noir is also well known to be a blockchain crypto investor. He actually invested in many different projects. So when he says something like, shut up and take my money, you can imagine what it does to many people that are telling themselves, okay, if he likes this project, I have to invest in them. And that's why I told you at the beginning of the interview that the case that the influencers And YouTubers made people lose so much money. That's one example.
Yeah, I mean, that guy sounds like he has a hell of a lot of influence. So, well, that's not good at all. And I'll talk to production about whether or not we can actually run that part of the interview.
Feel free to cut it. I know that it's very tricky with the legal stuff, but it's completely fine if you cut that part.
Excellent. Okay, so listen, I've got a couple more questions here. The word decentralization is peddled about a lot here. Oh, Jesus. Oh, bloody cat. I've got a cat here and a kitten as well, and I don't want them to fight.
Take your time. There is a good chance that one of my kids will decide to come join the interview. So I'm not excited about making stops.
Sorry, mate. Jesus, they'd kill each other if they got in touch with if they got in contact. But getting back to the question, decentralization. Now, this word is often paraded out there amongst the blockchain and crypto people. Does decentralization offer any sort of solution to the problem of this the influencers, fake influence on social media?
Sorry, Tom, again?
There's social media. A lot of influence gets peddled on Twitter, for example, and a lot of the time you got bots and you got fake influence, fake news, and what have you. Does decentralization of these platforms, does that offer a realistic solution to those problems being discussed?
No. Right now, the only thing that the decentralization has to offer is to allow the scammers to roam freely and to do whatever they want. For example, you can go on Steemit. Let me share the address with you. I'm sure that you know it, but I do want you to have the link. So this is an example. Steemit is a platform that will allow you to publish whatever you want. And in case you publish something that is against the law, they don't care. They won't even take it down because they are legally protected. And it's all the user's fault, as they claim. And everybody can create an anonymous account within less than 5 minutes and publish whatever they want. Nobody will do anything, and I can decide to publish something about you, and nobody will be able to touch it.
Okay, so actually, decentralized social media will increase the problem.
Absolutely, there's no doubt here.
Right. Interesting. Okay.
Now, don't get me wrong, Tom. I'm not thinking negatively about decentralization, social media, or any type of decentralization, but I am saying that we do have problems with it, and I don't see the solution for it at the moment.
Yes. Okay. I don't know how familiar you are, generally speaking, with influencers, but what are some of the defining differences, or, like crypto influencers obviously have a shit coin to peddle, whereas regular influencers just have like a shit product. What added sort of value or for the scammer does having a cryptocurrency provide? Because often they got some service behind this currency, this crypto that they're peddling. It does something, right? Or they pretend it does. How do you empower them further by having a coin, like an own private economy, if you like?
So about 99% of the projects don't really need any type of a currency. It's all made up. It's all bullshit, because they want people to invest in their currency, because they, in most cases, they enjoy the profits if more people invest in the currency, then the price goes up. And usually the founders of any project, they are the biggest holders of the tokens or the coins. So it's in their interest to do it. 99% of the projects are either bullshit, scams, or they don't need their own currency and they could have used Bitcoin or Ethereum or one of the big well-known tokens or coins that already exist.
Right. And actually there's some parallels to be drawn there with the regular economy. I mean, arguably it's better regulated, but there are still influential voices out there that are able to move prices on certain assets for certain companies, regardless of their ability to launch new and innovative products, right? I've in my research, I've slowly started to see some similarities between the two economies.
Yes, so the answer to your question is not so simple. First of all, I have to say that the traditional financial system is completely non-relevant, non-existent. It's all fake. There's no real fundamentals. It's all made up. We see that with printing money since coronavirus situation, not the first time in human history. It's all made up. So don't get me wrong and don't think that I am vouching for the traditional financial system, because I'm very, very much against it. Not only it's completely corrupted, it's also enabling the rich and wealthy to continue being rich and wealthy, and it enables the poor and the people that don't have enough money to continue being in the same situation. That's how the financial industry works. That's how it always worked, by the way. And I'm very much against it. Now, to answer your question, so far, there are only a few projects, I can count them on my two hands, that actually proved their token economics. One of the things that we did when we analyzed ICOs is analyzing the token economics. And 99% of them were pure bullshit. It made no sense. They had too many holes in them. We actually proved it again and again and again. So my answer to you is, in theory, it's great. And maybe when we talk again, you and I, in 5 years or 10 years or 20 years, I will be able to tell you, now there's hundreds or thousands or tens of thousands of different currencies that they actually have a legit token economics behind them. Right now, no chance it's happening anytime soon. By the way, I'm not one of these people. I'm definitely not one of these people. But even if you look at Ethereum, which is the #2 project out there, is being bashed non-stop by the other projects, including the Bitcoin maxis and so on and so on. Now, obviously, some of them are bashing Ethereum because they are promoting their own project. But some of them, they actually have some legit claims. And I'm not saying that I'm against Ethereum. I'm actually not against any project unless it's a proven scam. But I am just making this, making you be aware of it, because it's important to know.
Okay, great. Thank you very, very much for taking the time on. And I hope that we do speak again in the future. I've got a few more interviews lined up with people of your sort of stature in the industry. So I'm very, very keen to learn a little bit more from as many perspectives as possible. But I'm going to let you go now. And again, I'll be in touch. Thanks again.
Thank you very much, Tom. And if you need anything else from me, if you have any additional questions by email or you want to schedule again, feel free, because I'm very, very happy to help.
Excellent.
And you had amazing timing. My newborn, as you can maybe hear, just woke up.
I can hear. Okay, I'll let you get to your newborn. Thanks again for the time.
Thank you, Tom. Bye bye.
See you, buddy.